Hey everybody, it's Katie. When you are getting ready to have your baby, it is highly likely that you are going to be going somewhere. Whether that somewhere is a hospital or a birth center, it's likely you're going to be going somewhere. Home birth mamas, this video is not for you today. Today we're going to be talking about hospital go bag and the things that I took in my hospital go bag that ended up working really well. I had my first daughter in a birth center, and then my second daughter was going to be born in a hospital, and I realized that those two things were a little bit different. Not a whole lot, but a little bit different in what each one will provide and expectations of how long you'll stay, etc. So when I had my second daughter, we decided to have her at the hospital here, and I started doing research on what I was going to need to bring to the hospital. Now, I am a planner, and so I would probably rather have too much than not enough, but I also didn't want to be like that hoarder mom that showed up with 4 suitcases for 24 hours or whatever, so I was like, okay, let me keep my inner crazy person down to a good, clean, solid level of not so crazy. So I started off with a list, and actually we did a video about this some time back, and we'll put the link up here if you want to watch the original video. So we did the video of the hospital go bag, and then about a month after my second daughter was born, we did another video, which we will either list up here or down in the description, about kind of what worked and what didn't and what I was glad I did, etc. So today's video is actually going to be kind of the distilled version of the hospital go bag and my suggestions for what to bring to the hospital, what worked well for me. The first thing is thinking about baby. So depending on what time of year it is, you're going to need to bring clothing for the baby to come home in. Now, I had this really great little outfit picked out, and it was kind of like that skirt with a zip. I'm thinking not to have anything on her little legs and all that, and then I thought, okay, wait, I have to be able to get her into a car seat, meaning, you have to have the 5-point harness, something has to come up between her legs. So keep that in mind, whether it's shorts or little pants, depending on if it's warm or cold. Just remember that you are going to have to safely buckle your child into the car seat. So remember that whatever outfit you choose needs to accommodate clothing. No little skirt things that you can't buckle through. The next thing I would suggest for baby is the little tiny mittens. Well, they don't have thumbs. They're basically little pillow covers like for your baby's hands, because typically when the baby comes out, she or he is going to have long nails, and while they're in the womb, they're pretty soft, but as the baby's out and they get a little bit harder and sharper, they do a lot of this type of stuff, and you don't want them to scratch themselves. We learned that the hard way with the first baby, so that was definitely in the go bag, and I definitely used them, because I don't know if all kids do it, but there was a lot of this like scratching at her. I don't know. I can't tell you what infants have going on in their mind, but we definitely used them. Last thing for baby that I would suggest would be a special blanket. And now if it's cold outside, obviously it's going to be helpful to have it in the car on the way home. If it's hot outside, you won't really need it. But in the hospital, sometimes it's a little bit cooler, at least in my experience, both after I had my daughter when we arrived, and then also anytime I've ever visited anybody in the hospital. It's not warm, it's never warm. So a special blanket that you can keep the baby wrapped up in. Now, the hospital is probably going to have things for the baby, but I brought something special. We actually had a blanket that one of my best friends had done her name in monogrammed. I think that's what it is. She did monogrammed her name into it, and it was a really special blanket. So we brought that and ended up pretty much wrapping her in that the entire time she was in the hospital. So a special little blanket that differentiates her from the stuff that the hospital provides. And there is one last thing for baby, and that is a boppy. Now, you can use the hospital pillows, because if you need a couple extra, they'll bring them to you. But boppies, for those of you, I'm sure you probably know, but they're U-shaped and they fit right around your belly. Now, you're going to have the baby in your arms a lot, most likely. So not only is it going to help you with positioning for nursing, but it's also going to help you not have dead arms, because your arms are going to be tired and you might end up actually falling asleep holding the baby, and it's nice to have. Is it a necessity? No, but I took mine and I was really glad that I had it, and I just put it in the suitcase. I did have a few people laugh that I brought a suitcase in, but I was like, hey man, I'm comfortable. Now for mom, here are some of the things that, actually this is my entire list, minus a few things. As I said, this is kind of the distilled version of my original list, and so these are the things that I took and that I was really, really grateful for. Number one is snacks. So some of you may be familiar with my birth story. If you're not, just quick synopsis is, and we can actually put a card up here. So if you want to watch the story of my second daughter's birth, you can. But just a real quick synopsis is we were planning a hospital birth, and then I started having contractions, and we thought, okay, well, let's get ready to go. And about 34 minutes later, she was born on our bathroom floor. Totally unexpected. So our trip to the hospital came later, after the baby was born. So our stay was a little bit different. They still kept us for 24 hours, I think mostly because they wanted to make sure that the baby was okay. And I mean, I'd had her on the floor, right? So make sure everything's well with that. But when we arrived, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and so there wasn't any food there. The cafeteria in the hospital wasn't open, and they had like a little snack cart or something, and so my husband devoured like 6 sandwiches on white bread, and he was, I mean, this is typically not something he would eat, but he was starving to death. And because we showed up in a hurry, and I couldn't eat it. Unfortunately, I don't do gluten. My stomach does not like it. So I was kind of like, okay, there's nothing for me to eat. Fortunately, I had brought one of my very favorite things, which is a Pamela's Whenever bar. It was perfect. It did the trick. I think that was actually the very first thing I ate after I had her. And it helped tide me over until the morning when I was able to get some food. So I would advise in your go bag to have some sort of snack. If you have enough time to grab something out of the fridge, great, but non-perishable like a granola bar or jerky or something that you can sit in there where it's not going to go bad as you're waiting for your baby to arrive. So bring snacks, and also in order to keep husband from being hangry, maybe think about him too. Maybe a snack or two for him. The next thing on my list is a soft blanket. Now, again, the hospital's going to have blankets, and if you feel like a soft blanket is maybe a little bit overkill or takes up too much space, that's fine. I wanted a comfort item because I know that when I'm in a situation where I'm not comfortable, or I'm not at home, or I'm in a place where I don't feel completely comfortable, I guess, it's nice to have those comfort items. So I brought a nice warm fleecy blanket, and it was great because I actually kept it on the top. It was my top layer, and so I could lay the baby on it and stuff. So I was glad I brought it. It wasn't huge, but it felt really nice after going through labor and delivery. The next thing that I was really glad that I had was a pair of grippy socks. Now those are like the kind you can find, well, I'm thinking like trampoline park socks. They're the little socks and they have the little rubber on the bottom so you don't slip. I had originally thought, okay, well, in case I have to walk the halls or whatever, which I didn't have to do, but it was nice because I am a little bit funny about where I put my feet. Not only that, hospital floors, I mean, I know they try to be as clean as possible, but if you think about the 47 people that are coming in your room every hour, they're tracking in all kinds of stuff, and if they've gone outside for a break, or who knows what they're bringing in, and then you put your bare feet down on the floor, and then in the bed, and you have a brand new baby. So anyways, the grippy socks were a lifesaver. Super glad I had them. I'd bring a couple pairs if I were you. Next item on the list is chapstick. I mean, I don't think I really need to explain that a whole lot more, but chapstick, licking your lips, there's tension, sweating, I don't know. If you're like me, it's nice to have lubricated lips while you're in a place of great duress. Have some chapstick. Next on the list, 6-foot iPhone charger cable, or whatever phone you have. Get a longer cable, because the ones that come stock with your phone that come in the little box are usually, about that long, not very long. And so you're in the hospital bed and they've got, you're all this and that way, the other thing. And then the outlet's way back behind your hospital bed. So 6-foot iPhone charger saved my life. Plus, you're going to need to have a charged phone to be sending adorable, brand new baby photos and videos to everyone. Look, my baby burped. Look at this picture. Look at this. They're holding my hand. That type of thing. I mean, you got to have a charged up phone for that. You could argue with me on this, and it's totally up to you. Your hospital go bag, not mine. But the next on my list was my own personal toiletries. When I asked my hairdresser, who's also a very sweet friend of mine, what I should take, the very first thing she said was, take your own toiletries. I'm like, okay. And so, of course, she's a hairdresser, so she has a good love for really good hair product. But she said, and it made sense, she said, look, they're going to have soap, but it's the kind that, when you rub it on, it feels like it's not coming off all the way, or it's slimy, and then, they are going to have shampoo, maybe they'll have conditioner, but it's the pump thing on the wall. And, I'm like, okay, well, that makes good sense. It's one of those things that, again, goes back to a comfort item. Is it absolutely necessary? No. And you might not care. And if you don't, that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. I just knew that if I was going to take a shower, it would feel nice to use my own soap and then have my own shampoo and just kind of feel like a human again, because there is going to be a part of you that doesn't really feel like a human after you go. Well, you're going to feel like a superhuman, but, not like... You're going to feel weird after having a baby. It's like, I got run over by a truck, but I am Superman, super mom. Yeah, anyway. Next on the list for mom is going to be items of clothing for yourself. So if there's something that you want to wear home from the hospital, maybe take some yoga pants or something comfortable to go home in, go for it. I actually went home in my jammies. The thing I'm going to suggest next to you is like a comfortable pair of jammies that either has an easy, that it's like a nursing setup, or it's a button up, so you can just open it up, so it's easy access breastfeeding. Nursing bra, maybe bring a couple of those, and then, but just whatever it is, make sure that there's that easy access. And then also, when I talked to my hairdresser, I said, what else should I bring? And she said, bring a pair of underwear or a couple pairs. And I'm like, really? Underwear? She said, yeah. She goes, so here's the deal. They're going to give you the dreaded mesh panties. And she was like, you want to wear them because you're kind of leaking, and, they were designed for a reason. She said, but sometimes they slide around. She goes, so if you put on your mesh panties with your giant pad that goes from belly button to back, you can pull on a pair of underwear over the mesh panties, and it kind of holds everything right where it's supposed to be. And I was like, wow, that's going to be a lot. But I did it. I took a couple pairs of undies that, didn't care about, and I did it. I pulled them on over the mesh panties, feeling a little bit like I was overdoing things, but it was great. I could see what she meant about it kind of sliding around or riding up a little bit. So anyway, a couple pairs of panties would be also very helpful. If you have found today's video helpful, I would be honored if you would consider sharing it. If you know someone who's currently trying to figure out, what am I supposed to take? I would love it if you would pass this video on. That would mean a lot. I'd also like to invite you to be a subscriber if you're not already. If you become a subscriber, you get an email notification. Well, if you sign up that way, I get them. I mean, you get a notification when we put out a new video, which is every week. And we talk about things about family, babies, pretty much just what I'm walking through in this current season is what we're talking about, how to have a happy family. And as always, if you liked our video, please click like. That's always encouragement for me. And if you have anything that you want to leave in the comments, I also really enjoy corresponding with you all. And I've had some really great conversations with moms and a few dads here on YouTube about content and video and suggestions and all that. So that would be awesome. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the video and that you take care, and that we'll see you again next week.